Alita Battle Angel was released in 2019 and is an adaptation of the manga of the same name. It was produced by James Cameron and directed by Robert Rodriguez.
It's a harsh world down here.
You gotta be willing to do what it takes.
The plot takes place in the year 2563, 300 years after a war devastated Earth. One day, a scientist by the name of Dr. Ito discovers a destroyed cyborg with its brain still intact. He attaches her brain to a new robot body and names her Alita due to her memory being gone. Throughout the film, we watch as she discovers who she is, just in case the title didn't give it away. I've always found it weird when a character loses their memory but recalls things like speech. She can't recognize food, but she knows what, say for example, magic is. It's not important, but it's something that's always on my mind anytime things like this happen. Anyway, for full disclosure, I've not read the manga or seen the OVA. This movie is my introduction to this character as well as the world, and I'm in. I thought this movie was really good. What shocks me the most is the divide that audiences and critics have regarding this film. It's by no means perfect, and I'll vaguely get to that here soon, but audiences seem to have loved this movie, myself included. Don't get me wrong, the critic scores aren't the worst thing ever, but they're significantly lower than how much people seem to have enjoyed this film. Anyway, back to the movie. The world is stunning. Iron City has such a unique look to it, it makes me want to live there. The cyberpunk aesthetic is something that's inherently badass in my opinion. It reminds me of like 80s movies just in terms of the feel of the characters and the environment around them. In terms of the special effects, they are beyond jaw-dropping. From what I understand, James Cameron has had the rights to this franchise for quite a while. His work on Avatar definitely seems to have come in handy regarding the world and the cyborgs in terms of the special effects. The fight scenes in this movie are something else. The choreography, the way the scenes flow, you can feel the impact of the hits and the weight of the characters. There's a sport called Motorball in this where an entire sequence takes place and it is badass. Practicality I think is often better than CG, but Alita makes a solid case for the art of computer generated and films like it in the future. Alita, of course, is the main draw. There's a lot of controversy, use that in quotes, about her look, mainly regarding her eyes. Some people think they're too large, others say it's because it's an anime and anime characters have big eyes. But then again, none of the other characters have large eyes either, so the idea is that she looks out of place by comparison. Personally, I liked it a lot. It does make her look different, and she is different. Her eyes, I think, are the most expressive part of her entire character. She is 100% computer generated, with the motion and facial capture of course, but the final product is all CG. Her eyes might bug you, but I thought they were cute. Looks aside, great character. She is very much a hero for some very obvious reasons. But while she was kicking ass and taking names, I found myself enjoying the smaller character moments when she's relearning things and having to regrow who she is. She's very likable. The actress who plays her did a great job with the voice and the motion capture. It felt real, and I think that's the best thing you can ask for with a more or less CG character. The villain of this movie acts like more of an overseer throughout the film, pulling the strings and controlling people from behind the scenes, or should I say from Zalem, the city in the sky. I actually think it was one of the weaker parts of this movie. The main bad guy hardly has much screen time, and any other characters who wind up bad are fairly generic. They say there's a difference between a bad guy and a good villain. It's easy to make a bad guy that the audience hates. I believe the idea goes along the lines of, if you want the audience to hate someone, just have them choke a puppy. Easy for the audience to dislike them after that, and there's someone like that here. But I think this film lacks a good villain. This movie does seem to set up for future films down the line, so it's not like all hope is lost, but here, I think they're pretty cut and dry. Hugo is the main side character, and I really enjoyed him in the beginning of the film, but as time went on, things just started to not land like they were supposed to for me. You'll know what I'm talking about if you've watched. The rest of the cast is great, and the story, while I don't think is anything too special, is still wildly entertaining. Some of the more deeper themes don't seem to have reached the surface as much as I think they could have. Zalem is the more obvious one. Everyone strives to go up there because it's this paradise, so to speak. So everyone in the lower districts wants to be up there, but the social constructs don't exactly appear. We see how the people of Iron City view Zalem, but we never see how the people of Zalem view Iron City. We hardly see Zalem at all. The only other major one is the relationship between cyborg and human. What does it mean to be a cyborg? Can a cyborg fall in love with a human? And this idea is touched upon more, but it's still not that much. It's not so huge that its lack of these things will distract or take away from the overall enjoyment of this movie, but it's things that would have been nice to really make this stand out. Even with that said, I couldn't recommend this movie more. It's an incredibly entertaining movie with stunning visuals, a great cast, and it really opens the door for similar movies or adaptations like this to happen. Its problems seem big, but are actually quite minor and easily looked past. Alita's journey of discovery is the best thing about this movie, which is good because that is the main focus. Alita is kind, sweet, and a total badass, and so is this movie.